Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Kool-Aid Man 100X. Welcome back to the Days Gone Conversations. I know y'all looking like, man, I got some topics I want to talk about. Do you think we're gonna jump right into it, meat and potatoes? So, do you think that Days Gone and The Last of Us are in the same setting? Think about it. Think about it. I'm gonna let you ponder on that just for a minute. The reason why I believe they're in the same setting because, okay, The Last of Us and the Apocalypse, right? It pretty much got the same type of zombies, streakers, walkers, whatever y'all want to call them. They got the same type of setting, and this one made me kind of curious too. I said, it's like Ben Studios enhanced The Last of Us. See what I'm saying? If that makes sense, because I feel as though you can do more in Days Gone than you can do in The Last of Us. The Last of Us is more story driven and Days Gone is more open world driven. But it's looking like they're in the same setting, but not as realistic. I wouldn't say realistic, but well, yeah, might as well say realistic as Days Gone is, because Days Gone actually breaks down to a whole different type of genre in the world. But I believe is they in the same setting because is that type of the way the story ended in Days Gone. Does that apply to the zombies in The Last of Us? Think about it, because they're looking like they're combined. It's like a combining story. So to me, it's like, okay, we telling Ellie, what's the name story. Then we jump back to Ben Studios, him or whatever, and his wife. So it's like, but that makes sense in a way because we don't, it's to me, it's like in the same setting because I'm looking at the design of the environment. Last of Us got a dope environment world, but Days Gone got that sleek, stealthy type of style, and same thing with The Last of Us. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. So Last of Us part, and if just throwing this out there, is part 3 is going to be in Ben Studios style of Days Gone, and Days Gone 2 is going to be the 4th installment gameplay of Last of Us. Is y'all get what I'm saying? Because it looked like it's in the same world. And when I started looking at, but I was like, wait a minute, because I was watching some trailers, some stuff I was looking at. I was like, man, this is kind of, wait a minute, because I'm looking at this world, and I'm looking at The Last of Us. I'm like, wait a minute, is it in the same settings? Are they working together or something? Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Days Gone. Because when I'm playing Days Gone, I feel like you're in a whole different type of environment. But once you start really combining the other game mechanics and Days Gone and Last of Us mechanics, they're pretty much the same. To me, Days Gone, you got way more, I would say, arcade things you can do than The Last of Us. The Last of Us is more catered to the realism because you really have to strategize how to attack these people. And the zombies attack the same, but it's way more creative on The Last of Us side, but more realistic and different type of environment times than the same as I would say in Days Gone, where you got to take on like thousands of these boys and they beat you with numbers, but Last of Us beat you with bosses. See what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like, are they piggybacking off each other in a way? Cause I'm thinking like, dang, if Days Gone is like a little bit more arcade, they beating you with numbers, then Last of Us is beating you with these treacherous bosses that you got to go against. I'm like, God, so are they in the same setting, the same type of environment? I would want to look more deep into that because I said the worlds are different, but to me, it's like the same game. I wouldn't say the same gameplay, but they have off-brand mechanics. I would say The Last of Us, the Days Gone is the enhance of The Last of Us. And the story of Days, I can't even say the story, because I would say if I was to put them neck and neck, they're at the same, because the story of Days Gone is way more intense than The Last of Us story, because they just telling the story of Ellie and what's name. So, and trying to find a sister and she killed her, blah, 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 all that stuff. But if I was to put the stories together, they're pretty much the same, but I would say story driven wise, I would say Days Gone got it hands down. And I believe, just like I said before in the last two, I think it just comes down to they wouldn't push ad wise. They didn't get the notoriety of Last of Us, like they did with Days Gone. Days Gone never got the notoriety like Last of Us had, because I feel as though their story was 10 times more immersive than The Last of Us. The Last of Us is like it's just carrying on to the next part, like a TV series, basically. But Days Gone is actually, it was a story. Like, it was a story. Like, you had to go find things. You had to go collect things, different things. You had to go, in certain areas you ain't supposed to go into, you had to pass through. And even if then you had to make that long drive to another part of the city. So it was way more immersive than, I would say the Last of Us was, because Last of Us was basically, okay, what's her name died, Joel died, and she want revenge. So it was just a revenge type of story in a way. And I'm still trying to figure out how would they work 3, because, okay, what, like, what, how would that immerse? And I'm still trying to figure out the TV series, like, how would they immerse that? Because they're still driving off of part 2. They're just meeting the edge of part 2. Well, they're doing the DLC of part 1 basically before they go to 2. And they're trying to mix 2 and 1 within a TV series. But I can say the same thing for Days Gone if they come out with a TV series. But it would be in a more immersive story. I don't even think it would be a series. I would think it would be a movie. I think Days Gone could be a perfect movie. It would be a perfect movie. It's like, I Am Legend should be a video game. Just to let you guys know, I might make a gaming podcast. Let me know if y'all want me to do that. I can talk about random topics. Let me know. I might make a gaming podcast. Y'all would like that on that channel. Let me know in the comments below if y'all would like a gaming podcast. But I believe that it should be a video game. Days Gone should be a hell of a series. It would be a good series, but it has so much it can expand on. And Days Gone is deep. Days Gone TV series would be crazy. It would be dope, actually. I think it'd be better than the Last of Us TV series, because the Last of Us TV series is really not going anywhere. And people are already having critics about season 2 being bad. Season 1 was great, but season 2 is not where it is. I don't know. I saw the trailer. I'm like, oh, okay. It's not something like I was gonna jump and watch. I was like, okay, I'm gonna see some critics. Then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wait. Catch back up on some other TV shows, anime, but I never was like, with the first season, I was jumping on it every week, every time. And, but this season, I just didn't jump into it like I wanted to. I just never felt the need, like, oh, I want to watch The Last of Us. That's not how I felt. So that comes into play too as well. So we have to look at that type of immersive thing. So yeah. So we gotta look at that as okay, but overall, I mean, ain't nothing you can really immerse yourself into except those worlds being combined. I thought they were combined. I thought this was a great topic to talk about, because I'm like, the mechanics are the same. The mechanics are somewhat the same. I just feel as though Ben Studios was way more creative with their side than The Last of Us. I think The Last of Us blew up just off of the story, the trailer, everything geared towards the story of Joel and, I think Amy, whatever. Ellie. I'm sorry. I'm saying Ellie. Joel and Ellie. It was basically story driven. That's what really pushed The Last of Us. It was just about the story. It was just about the story. But the TV series just went off track without the story. It was just, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to mess up my channel, but y'all know it just went left, I would say, but whatever. It's just something I'm not into, but it is what it is, I guess. But I feel as though Ben Studios is, I believe Last of Us piggybacked off of Ben Studios in a way, I would say. Because it's so much more you can do in that game than I was just sitting here looking at both games. I'm like, dang, you can do way more in Days Gone than you can do in Last of Us. Like, all Last of Us is a story-driven boss game. You get to the story, you hit levels, you hit a boss. Basically, that's all I'm really. You get to the level, you beat a boss, you work your way up, blah blah blah. Review. It's all story driven. But Days Gone, it's an open world, third person shooter, story driven, objective, checkpoints, build. It's so much you can do in that game that you can't do in The Last of Us. And I'm wondering, like, why would they put their money behind The Last of Us so much, where this game was so immersive? It took a little bit, but I feel as though they never gave Days Gone a chance to actually grow. They didn't put the same ad and push like they did for The Last of Us, even though The Last of Us was cutting back on stuff you can do in the game. And Ben Studios gave you every aspect of what you can do in the game instead of the horde mode. Also, the horde mode. The horde mode can be expanded so much. That's what I'm saying. There's so much they can do in the game. Why were they not promoted as the same and damn near have the same type of aspect of games together? I don't get it. If The Last of Us was making a game just like Days Gone, and I feel as though they took that aspect of design in a way and just turned it into a better writing story, you know, and Days Gone was just like, okay, we're going to push them to the side. Okay, Last of Us. And I'm telling you, that's how they won. That's how they won. They won off of story. Even though they have the same concept as Days Gone, but Days Gone had the player in mind better than the story. But quiet as kept, I feel as though they hit the story on point to me. But I don't know. I mean, I just feel as though they're in the same setting, but I feel as though they should have gave Ben Studios way more ad push than they did for The Last of Us. That's just my opinion. Hey, call me what you want. I don't care. I think Days Gone should be promoted better than The Last of Us. And I'm about to get into this game very heavy, so hey. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope y'all enjoyed my little rant, you know, explaining this little topic. So yeah. Hope y'all enjoy it. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave in the comments below. Tell me what you think. Also, hit me up on Twitter and stuff like that too as well. Thank you guys. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one.